Hi, everyone. It's meteorologist Joe Chaffee on this Monday, on this Arctic wasteland that is the Northeast and coastal mid-Atlantic states, where we are recovering from temperatures that were down in the low teens and single digits. We've got a deep snow cover of 6 to 10 inches. I just want to show you, these are the temperatures at 11 a.m. this morning, so we're actually back up close to 20 now. Most places around the area are reporting teens, and now starting to see a couple of low 20s pop up, but it is very, very cold. The core of the cold air mass is right overhead, so that's probably going to keep temperatures pretty subdued. We also have a lot of high clouds around today, which was a little surprising to me, but that could be in response to the warmer air aloft that's already trying to come in, and we're getting some cirrus. So that's also going to hold temperatures down. I doubt we're going to get out of the 20s anywhere today. I just want to say a couple of things with regarding this particular event, and just make a couple of observations. First off, right now, as of this date, in terms of total snowfall, most of the eastern part of the United States, and certainly the Northeast, is well ahead of where we were at this time last year. Snowfall along the immediate coast, thanks to this particular snowfall, is actually running a little bit above average for a typical winter. So let's say, for argument's sake, that it's just about average for this time of year. In terms of temperatures, we've been experiencing these volatility swings. When you add them up together and divide them by 2, it works out that since probably the 1st of December, we're very close to normal, plus or minus a couple of ticks depending on where you are. So in the scope of things, we're having a typical average winter in the Northeast, which is one that usually has volatility in it, one that usually has some snow in it, and one that has usually some warm air in it. I don't think we're seeing anything particularly unusual. Now, with respect to those of you who seem to live and die by the long range, because apparently nothing that actually happens inside of 30 days matters. You just always are constantly looking at the next 4 weeks, 4 months, 4 years. I honestly, I don't get it. I really don't. I've been reading over the last couple of weeks these incredible, unequivocal statements about, there won't be snowfalls or major snowfalls through January, through February, through the whole winter. You know what? Cut it out already and just forecast what's in front of you. It's wearing really thin on me with regards to this, because even up until this weekend, I had some hearing quotes about how, well, there's never been a 6-inch snowfall in New York City where the AO has been positive. Well, okay, so New York City, by measures of Central Park, got 5 inches, and everybody in Brooklyn and Queens got 6 to 10. So you tell me if that qualifies or not. Because, at the end of the day, as a forecaster, and I'm really addressing this to you young folks, I know why people look at the long range, because they're looking for the next, they're trying to find the next apocalyptic disaster. Why don't you look at what's in front of you? Why don't you forecast what's in front of you, and forget, it's okay to look at the long range, but stop with the unequivocal statements, because they really are just silly. And people have said things even up until Thursday and Friday about this weekend system that your credibility is shot in my book. So just let it go, and let's just forecast what's in front of us. All right. End of rant. Okay, so here we go with what is happening. So the core of the cold air is moving out, and what we have coming up, first off, is a pretty deep low pressure area that's going by the northern Great Lakes. So as a result, we're going to have a warm front that's going to approach here tomorrow. Now, sometimes with these warm fronts, you can get a burst of snow ahead of it. And, the model does, the GFS anyway, it's actually all the models kind of do this. You do have this area of snow that sort of breaks out ahead of it. The problem is sometimes with these warm fronts, it's hard to figure out where the southern edge of it is. And, this particular run, or actually several runs, want to have it just inland. So I guess I'll respect that and just leave the possibility for areas just north and west of the coast. But, if you get into one of these bursts, sometimes you can get a quick burst of moderate snow or even heavy snow that lasts for about a half hour or 45 minutes, and you put down a quick coating to an inch or two. I don't think that's impossible. And there's also, because of the fact that cold air is often difficult to dislodge, especially the Arctic cold air with the deep snow cover, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some freezing rain involved in some places, that, across Pennsylvania and even into the northern half of New Jersey, and through southern New England. Would not surprise me at all. So then that front goes through, and we do get warm for 2 days, probably Wednesday into Thursday. The model does want to produce a few showers around, but then, at the beginning on Friday, one of the things that's happening is that we are going to get a cold front. Now, this is not going to be a deep layer of cold air, but it might be deep enough. We'll see. There's a cold front that's going to be running through, and I think this is what this is going to do is, whoops, let me just get that in there for you. So here's the cold front, and I want to draw a bit of a warm front here too, because you do have lower pressures going back over to Texas. You notice that there is overrunning precip on the north side of this frontal boundary right through here, okay? And, here we have a cold high. That's a pretty strong high that's coming down with some very cold air that's moving into Minnesota and the western Great Lakes. So what we're going to have is basically a setup where the upper air doesn't look all that favorable at all, but the low levels of the atmosphere could get cold. And what the model's been doing for about 5 runs now is it takes that high and kind of puts it up into upstate New York or in southeastern Canada and sort of holds it there for a little while. And you have this piece of overrunning that just breaks out ahead of it. So Saturday night into Sunday morning, there could be some overrunning snows across Pennsylvania, the northern, even into the southern half of New Jersey. Sometimes in these instances, the cold air winds up draining down a little further south, and I want to respect that. But it does produce some overrunning snows here. And also, by the way, it also produces a fairly east-west extensive area of ice that goes back through Ohio, Indiana, central Illinois, northern Missouri, and in through Kansas. So I think we have to watch out for that. And then the high begins to slide out, and you see that it takes a low up toward Green Bay with a little bit of overrunning snow ahead of that, and that would be for Sunday night into Monday. Now, one of the things I want to caution on this is that when you have situations like that, first off, it would make sense that we would wind up taking a low up like this because there's no blocking in the atmosphere. So at least that's what's being forecast at this point. Now, whether something changes between now and then remains to be seen. But I just still want to watch this carefully as we evolve. I think we'll probably get, that little first. You see how there's a little low kind of forms there? So there's a stationary front here with a little wave that develops on it. So, this could be, it's not it wouldn't be a big event. It could be a nuisance event of a few inches for somebody, but still want to keep an eye on it. And then that next low goes by to the west with warmer air and rain here. So now we're at Tuesday, January 17th so this is a week from tomorrow. So these are the things that I think we have to look forward to as far as the long term is concerned. Now the longer term is concerned. Now I want to look at the upper air, just because I just ranted about the long range stuff doesn't mean that I don't look at it. And one of the things when we look at the upper air pattern that just stands out is the fact that we have this big ridge in the southeastern part of the United States that just simply will not go away. You can see it there, trough that's out in the Atlantic. The flow across Canada is basically westerly. It's cold, but it's not all that cold. We don't really have, we have a bit of, the air from the source region in Canada is cold, but it's not Arctic air. That's sort of cut off. You do have these streams in the southern jet, so the southern jet continues to remain relatively active, but this ridge just will not die. So that means that in terms of the long term, can you have a classic East Coast storm? No, because you have a ridge in the east. Can you have weird things happen with nuisance events? Sure, you sure can, and that's what you need to look for as a forecaster. You got to look at what's going on at the bottom levels of the atmosphere, even though the upper air may not say um, the upper air says one thing, the bottom part of the atmosphere could very well say another. And I just, this is again why I want to I emphasize the fact that the upper air is not a wintry looking upper air, but that doesn't mean that we can't get wintertime events to occur. Now, I'm going to have to punch back to the earlier run of the GFS, as I don't have enough out of this current one to show you what happens as we go into the longer term. There's still this tendency for a little ridge in the east, although it does tend to get flattened over time. Now, let's see if this is correct, because this is now, as we go toward the last week of January, the model starts to trend after day 10 or 11 into a colder look, and opening up a flow out of Canada with a trough that runs down from northern Hudson's Bay southward. This is a bit of a different setup. You have that Pacific jet still pretty active with systems coming in, but the main difference is that we have high pressure building up into northwestern Canada for the first time. So this is a decided change in the overall look, and it affords a colder, and with a ridge in that position, it also opens the door for a stormier look toward the end of January, beginning of February. Does it mean it'll happen? I don't know. This is what the last couple of model series runs have been showing. Also have a bit of a ridge that builds up into southeastern Canada, so that might mean that we could have higher pressures to the north and set up cold surfaces. Whether, again, this is all speculation on my part. A lot of other things have to be looked at, of course, as we get there. But you know what? I've actually been pretty happy. I mean, from a standpoint of looking at the type of winter that we're having so far, I'm pretty happy with how my forecast analysis going into this has been. We're just at about average. I think if you have expectations that are along the lines of the fact that it needs to snow from the 1st of December to the last day of April, it just doesn't. Winters just don't work that way. Atmosphere actually, as like anything else, they work off energy. They exhaust them. That energy gets worked off. It's exhausted. The pattern needs to relax and consequently reload. And in that reloading process, you get change. So let's just play this volatility game forward and see where it takes us. I still think in the midst of what doesn't look like an impressive pattern from a winter weather standpoint, there will be chances, and there will be odd looking opportunities that will happen as we go through the rest of this month. So have a great day. Download my app. Subscribe to my forecast. Just $1 a month for New York City, New Jersey, Long Island, for Connecticut, the Hudson Valley, and Eastern Pennsylvania. And check out the latest posts on my website, meteorologistjoechaffee.com. Have a great day.